Hey friends, Ash here. Welcome back to Gents. How are you doing? You look good. You look well. Today, we're talking about a cologne fragrance. And I got to tell you straight up, this is a fragrance that before I got my hands on it, my greasy paws, I had no confidence in. If I'm just being honest here, less than 0% confidence, just none. Why is that, you may ask? Well, the name, the look, just the whole vibe, it screamed to me dollar store. And yet, I was lured in against my better intuition. And why was I lured in, you might ask? Well, because this is a clone of one of the greatest boozy fragrances in the designer realm that there has ever been. Hard stop, one of the best ever. What fragrance is that? Well, none other than, of course, Pure Malt. And in today's video, as always, I'll go over the fragrance with you, go over the price point, let you know whether or not you should check it out, show you the presentation, the whole 9 yards. So let's jump into it. You guys, I will have this linked in the description in case you do want to check the fragrance out. I got my bottle from fragrancebuy.ca along with a couple other clones. Yeah, another clone haul. They're never ending, baby. It's a clone apocalypse out there. I guess first off, as always, let's check out that presentation. So here we have the front of the box. You have the name of the fragrance, Starmin Nebula, along with the size and concentration. Up on top, you have the logo of the brand, Fragrance World. That looks so cheap. On the side, this little kind of star pattern. On the back, you've got your sticker of authenticity. You gotta have that, along with your ingredients, your barcode, and on the bottom, your batch code. And my bottle says it expires 04/2027. And here we got the bottle. It looks kind of like a skinnier version of a Nautica Voyage bottle. And then on the front, it says Starmin Nebula. The cap reminds me of like the shape of Lalique Linsumi's cap. On the bottom, you've got a generic sticker, and the cap clicks into place. And as always, I will share a couple sprays with you guys here so you can check out the atomizer. Here we go. It's pretty good. So as I alluded to earlier, I didn't have a lot of confidence with this one. And a lot of that does go to just the name and everything. Fragrance World. And it looks like the logo was designed by somebody on Fiverr for $5. I mean, the bottle doesn't look terrible. I mean, it does have kind of a Nautica feel to it. It looks okay, I guess. All things considered, there are uglier clone bottles out there. It's just, this is a brand I had no experience with, and like I said, the name and everything, it just didn't inspire much confidence. Like, who is Fragrance World? What are you doing? But I will say, before we jump into the fragrance here, that this is actually something that I have wanted for a while. I've been pining for this. What specifically, you might ask? Well, fragrances that are discontinued, that were just outright bangers, amazing scents, they need to be cloned. They need to be brought back. But seriously though, there are so many fragrances out there that command an insane premium on the secondary market because they've been discontinued and people still want them. Pure Malt, Pure Havana, two glowing examples of that from Mugler, along with, I don't even know, dozens and dozens of fragrances that so many people out there wish they could wear again without spending an arm and a leg to pick up a bottle. Gucci Envy, for example, one of my favorite fragrances of all time. If a brand brought out a clone, like a real deal high quality clone of Gucci Envy, I would lose my freaking mind. So yes, to see this, a clone of Pure Malt, a discontinued fragrance that's been discontinued for a while, that commands a hefty premium, that is a straight up banger, one of my favorite fall and wintertime fragrances ever, to see an affordable version of that come out potentially, man, that's why I had to get it. But all of that means nothing if this doesn't pull off the cloning part of this very well. And I don't think anybody from these companies watches my stuff, but hey, Armaf, Latafa, Afnan, Rasasi, any of you dudes, Fragrance World, come out with some clones of discontinued fragrances, please. That would be just the sickest thing ever. Contact me, say, hey, what do you want? I'll tell you. Trust me, I got a lot of discontinued stuff that I want to be brought back, okay? When I very first sprayed this on, I was kind of unsure. The very first time that I sprayed it had a little bit of an alcohol smell to it, and I was worried that it was going to be one of those cheaper smelling colognes that just doesn't get the job done. Thankfully, I only picked that up the first time that I wore this fragrance, and spoiler alert, I've been wearing it the last like 4 or 5 days. So yeah, the very first time, a little bit iffy, but all times after that was good. So if you do get this in, the first time you spray it, if you get a little bit of that alcohol type smell off the top, don't worry, should dissipate as you wear the fragrance more. Now, straight away, it doesn't smell exactly like pure malt off the top. It's pretty close, don't get me wrong, but there is a difference that you can pick up. The main difference is that this guy right here, Starman Nebula, comes across more with that kind of chocolatey vibe to it instead of going in with more of a fruity opening, which pure malt had a little more fruitiness, a little bit more of that sweetness off the top, whereas, as I said, this one bounces that out with some chocolatey kind of patchouli. So that's going to be the main difference there in the opening. That's going to be the differentiator between the original, the OG, and this clone. That opening though, that's going to be where most of the difference is. As this dries down, they get really close. And I am very happy to say that Starman Nebula, as cheesy as it looks, as straight up Dollar General as this presentation looks in the air, it's pure malt. And that is so freaking awesome. In the air, you get that booziness, you get that sweetness, you get that warmth. And it's one of those deals where, say you haven't worn pure malt for years, because it is discontinued, you can't just pick the stuff up with any kind of regularity in the US anymore. You have to pay out the nose to pick it up from somebody selling a used bottle typically. But if you haven't worn it for years and you get this, you spray it on, maybe right up close, again, especially in the opening, you go, close, but no cigar. But as it settles, pretty quickly, actually, but as it settles, yeah, it's going to throw you right back to pure malt. So I did have to go and spray them side by side to do that comparison. I knew that in the opening, it had that difference. It's very apparent because, again, Starman Nebula is not as fruity. It's got that whiskey, it has that malt, that booziness, got a little tinge of vanilla that comes through there, amber, also that patchouli. It lingers, of course, from the opening into the dry down, but it stays chocolatey the whole way through. It never really goes toward that earthy side. And I'm hoping that this is the beginning of a resurgence of bringing some of these fragrances back to life that were discontinued before their time. Gucci Pour Homme 1 and 2, Gucci Envy, Gucci Rush, Midnight in Paris. These big hitters that were discontinued. Prada L'Homme Intense. You know, bring that back, man. Maybe do like Acqua di Gio Special Blend, Pure Havana, of course. I mean, you really start to look into it. And even just over the past, 10, 15 years, you've got so many releases that came out in that time frame that are gone now, let alone going back past that. So yeah, this stuff, I hope it does well, and I hope it sends a message that there is a market for that. I can say unequivocally, without hesitation, if you want a pure malt alternative, this is great. The main difference is that opening. That opening is noticeably different. You spray them both on, you can tell which is which. Give it 10, 15 minutes, they start to get a lot closer. And then past that, even closer still. In terms of performance, it is right there with pure malt. You're getting a good bang for your buck here. The projection is very good. You can pick it up easily, especially as you move around. It makes a nice scent cloud around you. Longevity is a little bit above average as well. Going to be more a fall and winter time fragrance, of course. I think daytime or nighttime. Of course, most people hearkening back to pure malt would say it's more of an evening fragrance, but I wore that stuff all the time. Pure Havana especially, but pure malt also, man. Those were some of my favorite fall and wintertime fragrances ever. Like, I love them so much. I am so much more excited for this, frankly, than another Baccarat Rouge 540 clone or another Aventus clone or another, Leighton or something like that. Those huge niche fragrances that get cloned with some regularity. Those all start to run together because it's like, how many do you really need? And I get it, when they come out, I'll cover them for you guys and let you know which ones are better than which, but it does start to be like, okay, I've seen it. And for me, being just a sucker for these designers, these fragrances that you just can't find. To have that kind of come back is awesome. Yeah, price point, just under $30 US as of this video. That'll fluctuate depending on conversion rate between Canadian and US dollars, assuming you shop at Fragrance Buy. And that's kind of the sticking point because this does, at least to me, resemble one of those like poorly done, frankly, knockoff fragrances. You know, kind of like if you went into a really cheap store and they have a fragrance there that says Hugo Booze instead of Hugo Boss. It looks kind of like that, like Hugo Booze. Yeah, that's not gonna be good. And when I see this, or when I saw it, you know, that's what it reminded me of. And that logo, like I said, that's not a professionally done logo. When you look at that, you know, the presentation, and you see $30, you think to yourself maybe, I don't know if I want to pay more to get that, you know, when Lattafa has so many other fragrances for less than that, and it's a more established brand. But you're gonna have to look past that. Beauty's in the eye of the beholder, all that stuff. If you want pure malt on the cheap, boom, there it is. And frankly, the quality of this is it is so much higher than what it looks. It is pretty wild. So there we go, friends. Starmin Nebula. Pure malt, back from the dead. Gotta love it, gotta love it. You clone dudes, give me these designers that are discontinued. There are so many out there. You gotta do it. Let me know in the comments which discontinued fragrances you guys would like brought back, because frankly, I want them all back. But I know that can't happen. So you guys drop it in the comments. What fragrances do we need brought back? Thank you for hanging with me. Stay safe out there. See you tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you guys later.